The Essential Directorship Masterclass, Achieving Excellence at Board Level. Board structure. Typical board composition. The minimum and maximum size of a board is usually determined by the company's articles. Remember how important the articles are, which may be changed by the members meeting. The size of the board will influence its style. Here are some typical examples. Companies up to 50 million turnover maybe have an average number of 8 directors. 50 to 100 million, the same, about 8, but 100 million plus, likely to be 9. Large companies over 500 million, more likely to be 12 directors. Small companies are likely to be managed and directed by the same people, all directors being executives and running the company day to day. As the company grows, it's wise to bring in some non-executive directors to bring different expertise and an independent perspective. Larger companies still, you're wise to have an independent chairman, a non-executive independent chairman. And in the US, in the United States of America, then you're likely to have a much larger number of non-executive directors. In Germany, we're likely to have a 2-tier board structure in which one board is exclusively non-executive and the other one is the management board. This structure of the board of directors, used in certain European countries such as Germany and Norway, comprises 2 tiers. A supervisory board, usually elected by the shareholders, on which representatives of workers and management are represented, and a management board that is concerned with the day-to-day running of the business. The supervisory board is responsible for formulating general policy and the management board for implementing policy. The European Commission 5th Directive, 1972, states as follows: the members of the supervisory board have the opportunity of scrutinising the management of the company on behalf of the shareholders, in a way that the shareholders themselves, particularly small shareholders, usually cannot. The distinctive feature of these systems is that the shareholders have an opportunity to influence the composition of the board, which has as its function the exercise of general and relatively continual control and supervision over the activities of those managing the company's affairs. Now, let's look at groups of companies. Most major businesses these days operate as a group of companies. There are important implications for directors of companies in a group, as their boards are likely to include directors representing different interests. A group of companies exists where one company owns a controlling interest in another. That is, it has sufficient shares to give it a voting majority and is able to determine the appointment of directors and effectively influence the policy and strategy. A subsidiary company is one in which all, or a majority of the voting shares are held by another company. If the parent owns all the shares, the subsidiary is wholly owned. If the parent holds less than 100% of the voting shares, there are minority shareholders whose rights have to be recognised and protected. This is a duty of the subsidiary company. In an associate company, another company holds a significant proportion of the shares without holding a clear majority, but sufficient to exercise power over the board membership and corporate policy. Directors of an associate company need to be sensitive to the balance of power among the shareholders. A holding company is one that is at the head of a group, its own shares being held by individuals or financial institutions, no single one of which exercises a dominant power. The board of the holding company determine the direction of the group for the benefit of the members, and are not themselves dependent on a company board at a higher level. The board of the holding company is responsible to the shareholders at the annual general meeting. In some cases, the parent company may act as a remote, financial-orientated holding company, looking for dividends and capital growth as the periodic benefit from their group company, and leaving the board of the subsidiary to run a relatively independent business. In other cases, the corporate structure may be no more than a legal convenience. Management control will be exercised through the management organisation structure. Moreover, the management system may not even be congruent with the corporate legal structure. In such cases, power lies with the management stream of head office executives, divisional and unit executives. Little power is held at the subsidiary board level. Nevertheless, the legal responsibilities of the directors of these group companies must be fulfilled. This is particularly important where there are minority shareholders of the subsidiary. The boards of such companies must make sure that decisions are taken for the benefit of all the shareholders, including the minority. Their rights must not be lost sight of in the group decision making. So, a case study, your own board structure. What is the structure of your own board? And does it reflect the company's size, ownership, and stage of development? Remember, as companies develop, sometimes the structure of the board gets left behind. What is the balance between owners and management? Is it sufficiently diverse? And what does that mean to you? And now to the next video.